Hi, I'm Surya, Assistant Professor, Department of CSC, Panimalar Institute of Technology. Let us see about the definition of software engineering. Software engineering is a branch associated with the development of a software product using well-defined scientific principles, methods, and procedures. The outcome of a software engineering is an efficient and reliable software product. Basically, there are different types of process models in order to develop a complete software product like waterfall model, iterative model, incremental model, spiral model, etc. But here we will see about the waterfall and the spiral model. Waterfall model. This was the first process model to be introduced. It is also referred to as a linear sequential life cycle model. It is very simple to understand and use. In a waterfall model, each phase must be completed before the next phase can begin, and there is no overlapping of the phases. The waterfall model is an earliest approach which was used in the SDLC, that is Software Development Life Cycle. The waterfall model is a development process model which is also called as a linear sequential flow model. This means any phase in a development process begins only if the previous phase is complete. In this model, the phases do not overlap. The waterfall approach, the whole process of a software development is divided into separate phases. In this model, the outcome of one phase acts as the input for the next phase sequentially. This diagram illustrates how the waterfall model gets executed, that is requirement analysis phase, system design phase, implementation, testing, debugging, and finally delivering. In requirement gathering and analysis phase, all the possible requirements of the system to be developed are captured in this phase and documented in a RS, requirement specification document, that is SRS. Then comes the system design. The requirement specification from the first phase are studied in this phase and the system design is prepared. The system design helps in specifying hardware and system requirements and helps in defining the overall system architecture. Then comes the implementation phase. In this, all the inputs of the system design are first developed in small program called as units, which are then integrated to the next phase. Each unit is developed and tested for its functionality, which is referred to as unit testing. Then comes the integration and testing phase. All the units developed in the implementation phase are integrated into a system after testing of each unit. Post integration, the entire system is tested for any fault and failure. Then comes the deployment of the system. Once the functional and non-functional testing is done, the product is deployed in the customer environment or released into the market. And then comes the maintenance phase. There are some issues which come up in the client environment. To fix those issues, patches are released. Also, to enhance the product, some better versions are released. Maintenance is done to deliver these changes in the customer environment. All these phases are cascaded to each other, in which progress is seen slowly and steadily down towards like a waterfall. The next phase is started only after defined set of goals are achieved for previous phase and it is signed off, so the name it is called as a waterfall model. Some of the applications of a waterfall model are: product definition is stable, technology is understood, no ambiguous requirements, and the project is short. Here comes some of the advantages of the waterfall model. It is a very simple and easy to understand. Phases proceeds and completed once at a time, clearly defined stages, well understood milestones, easy to arrange the task, process and results are well documented. Some of the disadvantages of waterfall model are: it is a software produced until late during the life cycle, high amount of risk and uncertainties involved, not a good model for complex and object-oriented projects, it is difficult to measure progress within the stage, cannot accommodate changing requirements, adjusting scope during the life cycle can end a entire project itself. Now, next comes the spiral model. The spiral model is similar to the incremental model, which more emphasis placed on risk analysis. The spiral model has 4 phases: planning, risk analysis, engineering, and evaluation. The baseline spiral starting in the planning phase, then requirements are gathered and risk is asserted. It is one of the software development model like waterfall, agile, and V model. The first phase of a spiral model is the planning phase, where the requirements are gathered during the planning phase itself, and they are like BRS, that is business requirement specification, and SRS, that is system requirement specification. Then comes the risk analysis phase. In this phase, a process is undertaken to identify the risk and alternate solution. A prototype is produced at the end of the risk analysis phase. If any risk is found during the risk analysis, then alternate solutions are suggested and implemented. Then comes the engineering phase. In this phase, software is developed along with the testing, and at the end of the phase, hence is the phase is development and testing is done. Then comes the evaluation phase. This phase allows the customer to evaluate the output of the project to date before the next project continues to the spiral. Some of the advantages of spiral model are: it is good and large mission for large and mission types of projects. Then strong approval and documentation control is maintained. Additional functionality can be added in the later stages, and software is produced early in the life cycle itself. Some of the disadvantages of spiral model are: it is costly model to use, risk analysis requires high specific expertise, project success is highly dependent on the risk analysis phase and does not work well for the smaller projects. Now, when to choose the spiral model? There are some of the situations, like when cost and risk evaluation is important, you can choose the spiral model. Then for medium to high type of risk projects, you can choose this model. Users are unsure of their needs, and that time you can choose this. And requirements, when it is complex, you can choose this model. And when you have a new product line, again you can choose this type of model. And finally, significant changes are expected in research and exploration type of projects, and during that phase also you can choose this type of spiral model. Other than these two, waterfall and spiral model, as we said earlier, we have incremental, iterative, rad model, and etc. Depending upon the project, you can choose any one of the life cycle model which can be implemented and the entire project can be developed. Thank you.